So I think someone will let us know when we should start, yeah?
Hello, GDCOI people. Thank you for joining us. And let me introduce myself and my colleague. My colleague is Alexander Munzano, and he's co-owner and CEO at Upwheel. And he's going to tell you about some business aspects of selling a game, as well as some insights, how to assess your game worth and how to attract buyers. And me, my name is Svetlana Gordey, and I'm head of video game law direction at Revera Law Group. And I'm going to tell you about more legal aspects of selling a game, as well as some key terms of asset purchase agreements, like knowledge transfer, transferred assets and excluded assets, account receivable, and so on. So if you have any questions, you can send them to us and we will try to answer them after our presentation. And Alexander, you can start.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Svetlana. I'm going to share my presentation here and let's begin. So let me introduce myself. My name is Alexander Muntiano. I have a background of 9 years working in the sites industry. We were selling sites, making sites. And 3 years ago, I got interested in games and we launched Upfield.co, a service where we help developers selling their profitable games. So let's start with the topic, what does mean a profitable game itself, and what is different between selling a profitable game and selling a company or taking an investment. So an IP, a profitable game, is an asset of yours, which is managed on some title, and this asset should have some results, some financial results, some profits, some team which is supporting it. So when you're selling the game, you're selling just the asset, the IP, the code, but you're not selling a part of your company, you're not selling your team in most of the cases. So you're just selling a game which generates some money for some good money remuneration. So in case if you're willing to sell some game, the main question what will appear to you is on what evaluation should you sell a game? Here we suggest you the main metrics which you may check. It's the overall profit of the game. So all the profits which your game generates is the money what it's make per month may be evaluated, and you may receive 1, 2, or even 3 years of money back based on these profits. Some costs are deducted from this profit. These costs are directly related to the game. So when you're selling the game, you are transferring the game on the account of the buyer, and some cost goes directly with the game. These costs are server and services. If you are using such in your game, some marketing expenses, and also you should deduct in-app purchases, commission from them, and taxes which stores deduct from your side. But when we evaluate this overall profit of the game, we don't deduct employee costs because your employees remains with you, and we don't count the money which you spend on developing the title or on maintaining it as a price, which deducts the profits of the game, make it smaller. Also, we don't deduct any other company-related expenses, your office, your other employees, your lawyers, for example, because all these employees, all this office remains to you, and it's not connected directly with the title. So to summarize it, the price of the game depends on its profits, and its profit depends just everything which is directly related to the game. So if you have a game and it's profitable, you make $1 million of it per month, let's say, or $1K per month. You may have a question, why should I sell such a profitable game if I make such big amount of money on it? So there are a number of reasons in which cases you may look at this opportunity. One of them is, for example, when you need some investment in your new projects and you cannot reach investors with your pitch and you want to launch the project anyway, you may think of selling some of your past projects, which don't have so many opportunities for now, but still generates money. Also, every project in one moment hits its maximum and start dropping. So at this point where you don't see any growth in your project and you understand it will drop maybe even to zero in 1, 2, 3 years, it's better to sell it now when it still performs, it still has a good result. In this case, you may receive more money with less resources spent on your side. So you don't need to maintain a project which is falling. You don't need to find any new ways to keep it alive. You may just sell it, receive a lot of money, a lot of free time, and use it to launch your new projects. Also, you may just simply want a big amount of money in advance. You don't want to wait until the game will make you slowly, month per month, some money. You want to sell it now and receive a big amount of money for 1, 2, 3 years upfront and just, I don't know, relax, go to Cyprus. So now, if you decided to sell one of your titles, one of the questions which will pop up to you will be where I may sell this title. I may suggest you a couple of ways to sell a project. One of them is posting it on some digital asset trading platforms, such as ours, Upfield.co, which is specially designed for games and apps. Flippa, which is designed for games, apps, sites, domains, and everything which is related with internet businesses. Acquire, which is designed for selling startups, but in some cases you may think about a game as a business, as a startup, or on some local class field sites. So local sites where you're in your neighborhood, in your city, in your country, different classes of people post their advertisers, and one of them may be selling your game. If you like already posted it somewhere and you want, for example, to search for buyers by yourself, there are a couple of ways. One of them is just to wait. You may just wait. Maybe someone will offer you to buy your game. It happens, not so often, but it happens. So when you receive some offers to sell your game, just read what is inside. Maybe something interesting to you. You may run email campaigns by yourself. For example, you may write emails to some email list to some funds or other developers in order to show them your game. Also, you may reach directly colleagues and competitors in your niche, which you think might be interested in your title. Maybe they will be really interested and will acquire it from you. Also, one of the ways is join different game development conferences, talk with the people, spread the news, what you're selling something. Maybe someone will get interested or they'll bring you some buyers. Also, there are a list of different funds which acquire constantly apps, games, and other related businesses. One of them is Activa Games. They are acquiring just games. Another one is Bluefront. They are mostly acquiring apps. Vivo, also utility apps, and quiet apps as well. So unfortunately, there are not a lot of funds which acquire just games. Activa is one of them. Also, I've heard recently about another one. It's called Sunday. So if you want to reach directly, you might go directly to them. So also you may work through some agent. Agent will take control of the data of your app and will go all these three different strategies he may perform by itself. For example, there is such a broker as App Business Brokers. They're from USA. They're very experienced. They are mostly working with the apps, but I think they also had good cases with the games industry as well. Appeal.co, it's us. We are also acting as a broker. So we are not just posting the app on our platform. We are also reaching buyers directly and trying to sell it directly to the buyers. Empire Flippers, they do very similar business to app business brokers. And Oyeb Digital is, I think it's one-man army. It's an agent which works by himself, and maybe he will be also useful to you. So I described you a couple of ways, and you may think why should I sell through agent, or maybe it's better to sell by yourself. So it's everything. It's just up to you. If you have a time, if you have maybe some experience, some expertise, you may try to sell by yourself. So no one can stop you from this, and it's a good opportunity to receive some experience in that field. But if you will consider working through agent, you should understand it's useful, and mostly of the agents, they don't take any prepayment, so you shouldn't pay anyone something for no result. For example, us, we are working just on success fee. So only when we provide you some result, only when you bring you some buyers and you receive the money, only in that case we start making the money. So we make money the last. And I had the best experience which I had is for now, it's when one developer approached us and he had a game for sale, and he already had an offer for it for 600K, and he didn't sell it. And he approached us, and we found him an offer which was twice or three times bigger, because the game also were like performing well. So his decision bring him a better offer and a bigger amount of money in that case. So what is your step-by-step guide where you may consider selling the project? First of all, is collecting all the data for your game. Also, you should check what is from your juridical side, what information confirmation did you receive, you own the source code, the IP, and everything. But I think more about this will tell you Svetlana. Mostly of the developers, they don't, not mostly, but a lot of developers, they don't do any preparation from this side. And this may be an issue if you have a really good title, expensive, and you want to receive a good offer for it. Some of the buyers may really look, do you own the project? Do you own all the parts of it? What IP do you have? So here is important not only to have all the data regarding downloads, profits, and revenue, but also regarding what you're selling, do you have the rights to sell it? So the second step, it's finding buyers, because all this information is very useful, but you should find a buyer who will want to buy this game for you. Third step, after we find 5-10 buyers interested in the project, we try to negotiate with them, to explain them the results of your game, to explain why they should buy it, and to receive an offer for you. An offer is the amount of money which will be paid for you, and some steps. So usually offer, it's not the agreement itself, it's just some numbers, and you may decide, are you ready to jump into signing this, taking this offer and looking to the agreement, or this offer is not enough and you should keep looking for buyers. So once you choose the best offer with the best conditions, we are moving to the agreement itself. And the agreement may be really tricky. Here you should pay a lot of attention, check a lot of points. It's better to have help here from a legal side, from a lawyer. But from my experience, most of the developers, they don't have any lawyers in their team. And just the buyer has the lawyer, because buyer is usually a bigger company. So here you should be, for your safety, to be sure what are you signing, because agreement is a very important part, and it's better to have some background here to understand what all the points mean. So we are usually helping with it a little, but we are not lawyers ourselves. So yeah, here should be patient and very cautious. Once the agreement is done, everything is ready, you think the agreement is okay, you sign it, we start some stages where we are transferring the game and receiving the payment. This structure may be very different. Some of the buyers will send you all the 100% directly. Some of the buyer will work through some escrow agents. Some of the buyer will keep some money with them and will pay them step by step in months and in some cases even in years. So here is very important for you to trust the buyer, to know the buyer, and if the buyer is big enough, you should wait. You may wait for some delays in payment, but if the buyer is some unknown company from India or from other country which you're not familiar with, it's better to take more secure payments to be 100% sure you will receive all the money later. So once you start transferring the game, you receive some payments and everything. Usually, if the deal is big enough, you should provide some support for the buyer. You should explain how the code works, how the UA were made, and a lot of things. And usually, this time of support is indicated in the agreement. So, if you have a game, you may try to sell it. You may use all the information what you get during this call. But also, in some cases, you may not have a suitable app or game which you want to sell, but you may know someone who has. In this case, you may approach us or any other agents because usually they are paying you some percent of their commission. For example, we as an agent are paying for such leads 10% of our commission. Some other agents may offer you something the same. So in this case, you may help someone to sell some of their game and apps and also receive some share for your help, which may be beneficial for all. That was pretty all. Thank you for your time. Ask your question. I will be really happy to answer you here on the topics what are interested to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander. And as I could hear, you said that it's not that common practice when sellers have their own lawyers, right?
Yeah. Usually, developers themselves are just making games and they don't have lawyers in their team and they are just counting on their understanding of the wording in the agreement, for example.
Yeah, I completely understand this point, really. And I guess I'm going to tell about some insights exactly for sellers. So I hope it will be really useful. So I'm going to share my screen and show my presentation. And before I can start with all questions, I would like to tell a few words about Revera Group. We've been working for 25 years and have a wide range of specializations. We serve different industries, IT and game dev, medicine, construction, real estate, and many others. And we work and write a lot about doing business in IT and publish all our materials and different resources. So in the end of this presentation, you'll see a slide with some useful materials about doing business in game dev. And now I can start with the first question. Is legal preparation for sale and what to do, what to consider in advance? Of course, the agreement between a seller and purchaser is not the only stage of the whole process of selling a game. You, as a seller, have to take into account some more additional factors before you sign this agreement. When we talk about the game development process, lots of individuals and entities can be involved in, and this slide shows how it might look. But what's important for the purchaser in this case? Of course, IP rights, but not just IP rights, but the fact that these IP rights belong to you as a seller and you can transfer these IP rights to the purchaser. And we should understand that our purchaser cannot control all of this process. So there are two things that the purchaser can do regarding this process. The first is IP due diligence. In this case, the purchaser can check all documents connected with the process of game development and decide if actually all IP rights belong to the seller. And the second thing is warranties about IP ownership in the agreement. In both cases, lack of IP rights can be a deal breaker or basis for contractual liability. So what can we do? I would like to tell you about some common practice. So during development, you can involve lots of employees and contractors. So to obtain some IP rights from them, you should first sign a written agreement with them in relation to IP transferring. There are generally two types of such agreements, assignment agreement, like full sale, and license agreement. When you get license agreement, it means that you have a possibility to use this IP on a certain territory during certain time and within limited rights. And the main rule is here, like the necessity of an agreement doesn't depend on the size of IP created. If you need to use someone's IP, you need to conclude an agreement with the right holder. Maybe let's talk about some employment and contractors agreement. When you involve employees and contractors, as I said, you need to conclude an agreement. And if we talk about employment agreements, requirements can differ from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And IP rights from employees can be transferred by law and or IP clauses included in the employment agreement. So taking into account this fact, we recommend first check all legal requirements to employment contracts. And the second, include some necessary IP clauses inside these employment agreements. Additionally, if you want to exclude the risk or minimize the risk of some IP rights disputes, we also recommend to use written statements of work and reports from your employees. But what about contractors agreement? Unfortunately, here you have to include some IP rights clauses inside this agreement to obtain IP rights. The most common practice when you get all rights by assignment. So these facts should be clearly stated in the agreement. What can you add to this agreement more? You can also add some necessity to use written statement of work and reports from your contractor, the first thing. The second thing that you could include in your agreement is like warranties and guarantees about IP ownership and encumbrances. Also, you can state in your agreement the right moment when you, as a seller, as a customer, is entitled to use this IP lawfully. Also, from time to time, you can use some licensed IP. Even in this case, you need to have a license agreement. And if you conclude this agreement, there are several key conditions you should take into account to discuss with the right holder. The first is territory. It means that you could use IP on a certain territory. The most common practice when licenses are worldwide. In this case, you won't have any territorial restrictions, so it's good for sellers. The second term is license period. It's a period of time when you can use this IP without any restrictions, means lawfully. So here the main rule, the longer the better for you as a seller. So if this term, this license period has expired, you cannot use IP. So you just need to first conclude a new license agreement or extend the initial term. And the third condition you should take into account is list of rights. It means ways how you can use your IP. And if you see in your agreement that the list is limited, we recommend to read this really carefully and check that this list includes all ways you need to use this IP. For example, if you need to modify this IP, like painting or something like this, then this right should be directly stated in the agreement. Also, I would like to tell you one more thing about licenses to understand the whole point about this. Licenses can be non-exclusive and exclusive. If your license is non-exclusive, it means that your right holder and you can use IP at the same time, and right holder can grant the same license to third parties. So if you want to have more exclusive relations, then your choice is exclusive license. Now I would like to go to this second question, is the sales contract and key terms and how to structure it properly. And the first thing I would like to tell you is what this agreement is. This agreement is so-called as asset purchase agreement, and it's really needed to essential for smooth, secure, and legally sound transfer of your game assets. So if you conclude this agreement, it means that you agree to transfer all your assets to the purchaser, and the purchaser at the same time agreed to pay for this. But it's not the only obligations of the parties, so you as a seller should also take into account some additional terms and conditions. The first term I would like to talk about is transferred assets. What does it mean? Transferred assets, it's all assets you should transfer to your purchaser. And the main rule here is to define the list of these transferred assets to avoid any misunderstandings or disputes with your purchaser and make all relations more clear and transparent. But what can be included in transferred assets when we talk about legal part of this interaction? It's a game-related IP like game design, source code, patents or trademarks if you register them, copyrights, and any related rights. The second type is domain names. It means all domains that could be associated with your game and tied assets. The third is accounts and logins. It means more like social media accounts, maybe sometimes email accounts, app store accounts, and other platform credentials. It depends on the purchaser desire, so it can be included in the agreement as well. And the last transferred assets is customer data. It's more about databases, about users, subscription list, analytic data, and so on. When we talk about transferred assets, of course, we should talk about excluded assets. Excluded assets means that those things that you shouldn't transfer to your purchaser, you don't need to do this, it's out of scope. And here the same rule works. You need to specify the concrete list of these excluded assets. What can be included in the excluded assets? First, it can be personal accounts like private email accounts that not directly tied to the game, any personal social media like owners, personal social media, and so on. Maybe it can be unused domains. They could be tied to a game, but maybe not so necessary, so it would be out of scope. Third is third-party contracts. It's agreements with any partners or vendors or any other parties that are not transferable. Sometimes this agreement can have some terms and conditions that forbid such transfer, so it can be included in the excluded assets. And the third is other intellectual property. Actually, anything that not directly tied to the game, like maybe any other related projects or brands you have. The second term I would like to talk about is accounts receivable. And what does it mean? It means money that you could receive after the sale date, but this money could occur for periods before or after the sale date. And here the main difference between this money. If we talk about money that occurred for period after the sale date, it's okay, it's fine to include this money in agreement and agree the obligation to send this money to the purchaser. Why? After the sale date, your purchaser is a right holder and it has a right to get this money. But when we talk about some money that occurred for a period before the sale date, it's not that fair to include this money in the agreement because you are still a right holder and have the right to get them. And if we agree to send this money to the purchaser, it means that we lower the sale price. It's not so good for sellers. So we recommend to read such clauses carefully and negotiate which period should be covered by the agreement. The next term I would like to talk about is knowledge transfer. Honestly, it's a really complicated term because it's more about your knowledge, your information, your documentation and materials about the whole game assets. Sometimes purchasers can require to send this all information to them, and what can include inside. It can be technical knowledge like game architecture, source code documentation, it can be service infrastructure, and so on. Also, it can be some operational knowledge like game monetization strategies, user acquisition, and retention techniques. Also, sometimes it can be some legal and compliance knowledge like privacy policies, any license agreements, trademarks, copyright details, and so on. And it also could be some community and player insights like community management strategies, key influencers if you have some partners, collaborators that directly tied to your game. So everything of this can be included in the agreement. If you see such clauses in your agreement, we have some tips how to structure this properly and clearly. The first, you need to have detailed knowledge inventory. What does it mean? It just means list of all knowledge materials, information, documentation you should transfer to your purchaser. Of course, in this case, you will avoid lots of misunderstandings and disputes with your purchaser. The second recommendation is timeline for transfer. It's simple. Just you need to state when you should transfer all of this information to your purchaser. The third part is training and support. Sometimes your purchaser can require to get some workshops, consultations, training sessions, and if you see that they need this, you should first negotiate this and including the agreement all timelines and terms and conditions of supporting and training. And the last thing that you could include in your agreement or negotiate at least is access to systems and tools if you have some and your purchaser wants to get this access. You can negotiate this and include clear and direct clauses about timelines and terms of conditions of this. The next, and maybe the most important clause in the asset purchase agreements is consideration. Consideration is a sale price, money you want to get for sell your game. And sometimes consideration clauses can be really difficult to negotiate and draft. So there are two key points you need to know about these clauses. First, you need to negotiate and include in the agreement what and when you should receive all consideration. Sometimes, and it's common practice when payment terms are tied to any actions from the seller. For example, technical transfer of the game to the purchaser accounts. So if you have these specific clauses for payment terms, they should be clearly and directly stated in the agreement. They should be really understandable for both parties to avoid any disputes and misunderstandings. And the second point of the whole consideration clauses is taxes and other expenses, means amounts that could lower your sale price. As a rule, all taxes, all applicable taxes, and for example, bank commissions are included in the sale price. It means you get less money than you expect or stated in the agreement. So if you want to get the right amount that is stated in the agreement, we recommend to negotiate to exclude all these expenses. And of course, this should be directly stated in the agreement. And the last thing I would like to talk about is warranties. Warranties are statements you confirm that they are true for you, and breach of these warranties is a basis for contractual liability. So we strongly recommend to read them carefully, and if you see any discrepancies between the warranties and reality, we recommend to negotiate this first with your purchaser and then try and include some exclusion from these warranties. What warranties you can find in your asset purchase agreement? As a rule, it's ownership warranties. It means that you have all IP rights and can sell them. The second warranties are conditions of assets, like about the quality, functionality, and condition of the assets. The third is intellectual property warranties. It's more about guaranteeing that the IP is valid and enforceable, and there is no any infringement claim. Also, sometimes you can find some financial warranties. It's more about financial aspects of the game, like revenue and so on. And the last type of warranties you can find in your agreement is third-party claims. It means lack of any third-party legal claims against your assets. So, as I promised, that's it from my side about all questions. And as I promised, you can find some useful materials about doing business in game dev. You can find links to our Telegram, our YouTube, game dev guide, and so on. So you can use this. And that's it from my side at all. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana, for your presentation.
Thank you.
I don't know if anyone is going to ask any question, but I have some during your presentation. Some questions popped out in my head. One of them is like this. signing of any agreement provides some risk to the developer because there are a lot of points which you mentioned and a lot of responsibilities. So not signing the agreement is always safer. And what do you think of the opinion? Like a lawyer will also tell the client to don't sign anything. So the lawyer, it's in some cases and not a very good thing to make a deal because there is an agreement and the lawyer will never uh, provide you some suggestions to sign it and will also always try to breach the agreement by telling you how many risks are in this agreement.
Well, it's a little bit tricky question, I guess, but I
Mm,
think
Thank you. I was preparing.
I think it's more about parties' intentions and desires. So, from my point of view, we as a lawyers have to say everything about any risks, any terms in the agreement. So we need to explain what it means to our client, but it doesn't mean that we want to ruin the deal. It's not our function. We just try to cooperate, not ruin. And if we see any issues, any disputes, and so on, we just try to find a solution that would satisfy both parties. And when we talk about asset purchase agreement, then seller and purchaser. So the main rule, we don't ruin this. We just try to help both parties.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's true.
And a personal question which appeared in our practice. Our company is registered in England,
Mhm,
and when we make some agency agreement, we want to them to work under the English law,
mhm,
and not because we are from our company single, just because it's a very common and understandable law.
mhm.
But we want the arbitrage court for this law to be in Abu Dhabi because we know the prices are affordable. If you want to have a court in UK, it will be
Mhm.
very expensive. Have we the right to use the England law, being a company from UK, but insisting in the agreement what we want the arbitrage in other country, for example, in the Abu Dhabi?
I would say honestly, it's a little bit complicated question, but basically, if parties are from different countries, they can use any applicable law. So, more general practice when parties try to negotiate and agree some familiar laws, like the law of their jurisdiction, but sometimes, yes, they can use absolutely different applicable law, and the same about courts and arbitration. They can use arbitration and courts in any country. So sometimes it's just a question of additional costs and actions from both parties. So it's fine as for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Svetlana. And I think we have some questions from the viewers. Sorry, guys. Um, for now, I think I may respond on some of them because they are regarding the appeal. So the first question is, I am an indie developer. My question is, does developing and selling games can be a good business for indie game developers if games makes money and have some potential to make money? The short answer is yes. So if you can make games and they are profitable and make money, you may sell them, and this may be your business model. But based on my practice, if someone creates game after game in the same genre using the same assets, the buyers will be not happy of such deals when they acquire a game which was sold multiple times. So it's better if you want to make it as your business, create not similar games but different games, And if it will be successful, it will be very beneficial for you to sell them. And we are encouraging such approach. We will help you for sure. The second question, I think, is from Ritesh as well. Are games found the buyers all the time? What is the ratio of buyers and sellers at the field platform? Uh, like we have a lot of games on the site, so all the games which are on the site are not sold yet. So not every time it's easy to sell a game, but it all depends on the price. If the game is the good enough quality, it has a good enough period of money back, so for sure this game will find its buyer. Just if you cannot find a buyer for one price, just lower the asking price or make higher the revenue. And the buyers are not stupid and they will buy your game. So these are my short answers for the messages during the call.
I guess we don't have any other questions. So maybe I need to say that thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions later, you can contact me or Alexander and ask them directly. So thank you so much.
Unfortunately, Svetlana, I will be glad to let you go and do your things, but we have the questions which were asked before
Oh,
the call. Yeah.
okay, okay.
And so let it make more like interview style. So you may ask the questions and we will see who will respond on them. Okay, it's here in our chat. Perhaps you missed it. Please tell us how to properly market a game so it can be profitable for both buyer and seller. Thanks in advance. I think I'll take the responsibility here to answer this question. So the game may be fully organic, so it may make all the money from the ASO, and you may spend no marketing, and it will be still have a demand on some buyers. Or the game may work on user acquisition, on running some campaigns in Google, Facebook, and any other networks, and it may generate some revenue flow, and it will be also be easy for the buyers. Uh, just one way of promotion of the game, it's not so good for the sale. Some buyers are not happy to hear about it. It's when you use some gray ways to promote the game. For example, some motivated traffic to reach out the higher position by ASO. Some of the buyers are not happy about it, but some of them are totally okay. So you may promote the game in every way possible, just to be sincere with the buyer. Don't try to hide some expenses which you had related to the game promotion. And if you have a positive balance, it will be okay for the buyer because the buyer usually it's a developer like you. And another question is here. One moment. It's nothing. I think this question may be asked by me and responded by Svetlana. Svetlana, do we plan uh, to have a Russian translation of this call? What we might help?
Yeah, we will have this, so everything's fine. We will have some Russian subtitles.
Oh, thank you. As well as I know in Yandex browser, there is a possibility to translate the video as well. I never use it, but you may try. And there is a new question. Uh, there is a new question here. Can I get free consultation in Russian for a better understanding of the material? I am new to creating an EG project and I have a lot of questions regarding investor interaction.
Yes, of course. We talk Russian, so it's okay. We can consult you in Russian.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. And also, Regarding the question in Russian, the previously asked question, there is some more information. They have a team of 25 people and they want to show it to us and receive feedback. And can we participate on the project on the early stages? I think it's more, this question I think is more to me. So what am I telling on this topic? Yeah, of course, you may write me. Usually our buyers, we are not looking for early projects. We are buying games which are already published and profitable, but I may give you some hints, some ideas, and we may be in touch. And who knows, you launch your successful game, it will make millions of dollars and we will sell it for, I don't know, for billions. It can be a very good interaction. So for now, I think we answered all the questions. Uh, Here, Svetlana and I shared our telegrams. You may find us. And if you have a question on the legal side, approach Svetlana. If you want to sell something, you may write me and I'll help you with all the pleasure.